All right, so for part two here, or the second part of our video here for a part for assignment or exercise 5, the first one, I've moved on a little bit, but I didn't go too far. But like I said, I started to identify some of the contour lines, and then I'm just using a quick vertical hatch line to identify some of these different values. Okay, I identified where my 0 value would be, where that highlight is, and then where there's some highlights right here. There's a little bit of a highlight over here, but I can start just really easily and quickly, and I'm not being really super deliberate. I don't want to recreate this apple. I'm not trying to create a photorealistic representation or drawing of this apple, but I am trying to identify some of these darker values along with the lighter values to really give this drawing some dimension. Okay, so right in this area here are some of the darkest values of this apple, and if I lay down some vertical lines within the contour lines that I have drawn, I can pretty quickly, and you can see how just drawing these vertical lines, these hatch marks, I can create some real dimension. You can feel the roundness of this apple. You can start to feel if I add some hatch marks around this highlight where the light's reflecting off the apple, you can really feel where that highlight is and where that darker value of the actual skin of the apple. You can see how you can really start to just kind of build up the surface of this apple. Okay, and I'm doing it pretty quick. I'm really pretty comfortable with the pen. You guys don't have to go this fast, but basically you can just start laying down some marks pretty quickly, and then you can go back and identify where some of those lines need to be a little bit closer together, where some of them the spacing should remain, and you can really start to build up the different values in this apple. I don't mean to repeat myself, but as I'm doing this, I'm just repeating this stroke over and over and over, and it's easy to get kind of repetitive. But so for assignment 1, exercise 1, draw this apple, okay, pen. Okay. For the second assignment, I want you guys to, and I'll give you a little bit, I want you to create something like this apple I showed you. Okay, I want us to take it a little bit further, and add some marker to, and just the grayscale marker to this apple drawing. Okay, but I want to first explain a few things about these markers. Prismacolors are really pretty cool, and I'm repurposing some paper here, so you could kind of see that there was something on the other side of that. But I want to show you how, and if you look at, let's see, slide 19 and 20, and I'll start with the cool gray. The way these markers work, first, if you look at the tip of the marker, just like when we chiseled the point, it's similar to that concept. We have a sharp side where we can draw a pretty, well, let's actually get a little bit darker one so we can actually see it. If we use the sharper edge, we can draw a pretty precise line. It's kind of a, if you think back to our principles of good graphics, this is kind of like a fuzzy line. Okay, if you flip that over and use the fat end, the chiseled portion, we can lay down quite a bit of marker pretty quickly. Okay, but there's also, and if you look closely at the tip of the nub here, if you hold your pen like this or your marker like this, you can lay down kind of a line that's in between these two, right? And then there's also, if you have the Premiere, there's also the other side that has the sharp, well, it's a little bit, I don't know if you want, it's like if you sharpened a pencil, if you had a pencil, right? But it's similar, you can see it's similar to that line. Okay, so you have the ability to create 3 or 4 different lines just with the way you hold your marker here. But as it relates to value, I wanted to kind of give you guys an idea that for a 0 value, obviously we wouldn't make a mark, right? So say we were drawing a value scale, okay? And you guys can do this on your own. You don't necessarily have to turn this in as part of your assignment. But say this is our value scale, and we want to start with our 0 and work our way over to 10, the darkest. If we left this portion here, just the color of the paper, that would be considered 0, right? If you take the 10% cool gray and you lay down just one coat, that is a good 1 value, okay? Consider that 10%. Now if we go here next to that and we lay down a coat and we let that dry for a minute, the way these markers work is if you come back and you apply another coat on top, and this I'm gonna have to go over it a couple times just because my marker is starting to lose some of its ink, or starting to dry up. But you basically, if you do 2 coats, you end up with a 2. Okay. Then because we have 10% and we have 30%, we can go ahead and do. Is this 30? Just a sec. Let me check. That's a 50. I didn't want to jump too far. Yeah. So then for 30, just go 1 coat. Okay. That would be a 3. And then if you did 1 coat, let that dry, you could come back on top of that. And you basically you're starting to draw your midtones, right? You have your 3 and your 4. And you can kind of see how this is working, right? So then for 5, we have our 50%. That was actually 70. Our 50% gray, we can lay this down for our mid-tone, okay, right in the middle of the value scale. And I actually went over that one more time when I shouldn't have. But that gives you a 5, and then if you do 2 coats of the 50%, you'll actually end up with like a 60%. Okay, and you can kind of see how if you kept doing that, you could create the value scale. Okay, so for the second assignment, what I'd like you to do is, again, take that image of the apple, and what I want you to do is basically create this. Okay, draw again. Consider your first exercise kind of your rough draft, okay? It's your practice. Getting a little bit more serious with exercise 2, we'll draw the apple again using whatever hatch pattern you'd like. I like to draw some contour lines following the actual curvature of the apple and then filling that in with either vertical hatch marks or contour lines. I could actually add lines that are kind of curved rather than straight up and down. Okay, and follow the contour, and then once you've drawn that that apple, go ahead and reinforce some of these values with the marker, with the different markers, okay? And identify where that 0 value is all the way up to, I guess I'll just quickly do it. So we have 5 and 6, then we have, where's 70? Here's 70. Then we have 7. Okay, I'm actually going to make this a little bit wider because we got a little bit more room. There's our 7. And we can go two coats for our 8. Okay. And then with our 90%, where did that go? There's 9, and then I'll do one more coat here with 9, and then an additional coat on top of that. And you can actually go over that a little bit more because we're going to get almost black, but not quite. Okay, you can see how we have created that value scale, right? And the apple might not have the darkest, the darkest shade, but it definitely has the highlight, and it does have, I mean, some of those shadows on the edge of the apple are into the 8s and the 9. Okay, so I want you guys to take your pen drawing and add the cool gray marker to that. Okay, I'm gonna stop here, and then I'll start a third video for us.